Hi, how's it going? It's Patrick here. I'm just going to show you a few things on proper technique and exercising safely here at the Underground. So starting off, I'm just going to talk a little bit about your lower back and pelvic positioning. Now in a lot of exercises that we do, you're going to be using resistance, and a lot of the time you're going to be holding a weight out in front of you, and you may even be in a position called a bent over position. So a perfect exercise I'm going to detail for you, so an incorrect and correct way to do it is the bent over row. The bent over row works your back, and I will call it a very misguidedly named exercise because you're not really bent over at all, okay? So, always bend the knees when you're picking up a weight, we know that much. So bend the knees back nice and straight, picking up your weight. Now, a bent over row, bending over would signify bending your back to putting something down on the ground. Now that's actually incorrect, because that's actually going to put your spine, in a very delicate state. Okay, as your vertebrae are sort of bending across, you're losing lower strength. Your lower back isn't braced, and it's just not. It's a very tense position to be in. So in a bent over row, you never actually lean forward. You always pull your hips back. Okay, you can see that when I actually pull my hips back, my lower back remains straight. When I bend forward towards the ground, my back bends. It's not a good position to be in. So, hips come back, slight bend in the knee, and you can see that my pelvis is actually kind of arching forward. It's rotating forward. And that's the perfect position to be in for a bent over row. So bent over row, exhale, always look forward. I forgot that one there for a second. I'm pulling up towards your belly button, sort of midline between your belly button and your belt buckle, okay? So, bend the knees to put it down. And you can see that as I pull my hips back, there's something else that I'm really focusing on. And that's actually like my pelvic position. So I'm thinking of my pelvis, my pelvic joint, as sort of a bucket of water that I'm just constantly going to try and tip out. So pour the bucket forward. You can see I'm sort of rolling my pelvis forward. Okay, almost like I'm sticking out my stomach, making my chest proud. So as I pull my hips back, I'm actually, tip out the water. Okay, you can see that's the difference between, a rolled pelvis back that's going to really put myself in a really sensitive position in my lower back, and tipping my pelvis forward, a nice straightly aligned back. Okay, my back muscles, my rectus spinae are nice and braced, and my spine is protected. Okay, now if I hold that position, because my lower back muscles are tensed, that's actually really strengthening my lower back. Like that, they're being stretched, which is going to weaken them. Okay, so very, very important, especially if you've had a lower back problem in the past, very important that you tilt your pelvis forward and get that nice lower back position. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk to you about is scapular retraction, which is very important again, especially in the exercises where you're holding something in front. And it does pretty much apply to everything. So scapular retraction just means that you're pulling your shoulder blades back and down. Okay, think of sinking them into a pocket. Now when you're like that, you can actually find that it's actually quite hard to bend forward. Now your spine, your upper spine now, is in a lovely braced position, lovely safe position. And really with all these exercises, I know impact and things have a bit of a bearing on like joints and stuff, but really training safe is really about kind of protecting your spine. So I'll show you a bent over row again, just going on from that, and how to actually retract your scapula when you're doing that. Now the one thing before I go into that, I'll tell you is that scapular retraction can be taken from any angle. So hands down, retracted, arms forward, retracted, arms overhead, retracted again. So bend the knees again to pick it up. So just show you this one. So hips come back, tilting your pelvis forward. Remember that much? Now that's, my upper back is at a very delicate angle there. Okay, my shoulders are rounded forward, and that can actually lead you to walk around like this. Okay, it's all about posture, good posture. So you want to pull the shoulder blades back. So bent over, nice lower back position, retract the scapula, and then go into your bent over row. Okay, that's a nice braced position. My lovely spine position there, all the way from the bottom right up to the top. Okay, so scapular retraction, very important. I'll detail a bicep curl for you, even when you're upright. Okay, I'll get the right angle, pull your scapula back. Now that's a lovely bicep curl there. Okay, leaning forward, if you're kind of looking down at your arm, you might kind of pull your shoulder blade forward. That's not a very good position to be in. Okay, that might actually kind of, lead to like a winging of your scapula, something like that, where there's a disconnection of the nerve in your lower back, or so your upper back, which isn't something you want, because it's something very difficult to correct. So posture and, proper technique in exercises is you know, it's very important, especially if you're planning on progressing through your weights. Okay, so if you're doing something incorrect from the start, you're just going to, you know, cause a bit of a misalignment in your body that's going to be very hard to correct in the future. So the third thing I'm going to detail to you, now I'm going to put this together in the squat. I'm going to put the three of them together in the squat. And that would be, you know, applying power down through your heels, okay, and watching like your knees coming past your toes, because that can actually have a knock-on effect. If you put all the pressure down, let's just say you're coming down into a squat, if you put pressure down through your toes, your knees are coming over your toes, that can actually have a knock-on effect up your shins and into your lower back. So this actually goes hand in hand with sort of a pelvic position and sitting back in a squat. So kettlebell comes up, retract your scapula, feet just outside shoulder distance, that's how I do a squat. So retracting the scapula, always keep your head up, nice and aligned, and then as I sit back, I roll my pelvis forward again, sit back down into it, and I'm keeping all my body weight down through my heels. Exhale, as if you're extending your heels down through the ground. Next up, just another good one to show you in this front would be like a lunge. So I'm going to lunge forward, and you can see that, a shallow lunge. My heel comes off the ground. I can't be possibly applying power down through my heel if it's off the ground, and my knee's coming over. That's actually kind of hurting my knee. The right position you want to be in is like everything at a nice right angle. You can see that kind of my calf muscle, my bone here is going straight down into the ground. All my weight is coming down through my heel, and I can almost raise my toes off the ground. Now that's a good lunging position there to be in. Okay, and again, I'm staying nice and upright. I'm not allowing myself to bow forward. Okay, my scapula is kind of back, and I've got a nice proud stance there. So very important. Heels down through the ground. Hip position is vitally important. Always keep your pelvis rolled forward to protect your lower back and scapula retracted. Okay, you maintain those positions, and you're going to build like a very good full body strength. Okay, from your toes all the way up to your upper body. There's going to be no misalignment issues. What I'm going to go on to show you now is I'm going to have to take it down onto the floor to show you an exercise that you can do at home to practice that perfect pelvic alignment, because simply looking at me won't really give you the mind muscle control that you need. You might just be standing there being like, how do I actually do that? I can't get the feeling right. Okay, so we're going to practice an exercise next, well right now, on how you can actually do this at home. Okay, so here we go, an exercise you can do at home to practice that perfect pelvic position to achieve a lovely strong lower back. So two exercises that we're going to do, they're actually both from yoga. One is called the cat and the other is called the camel. They're both stretches, but they're going to be very instrumental for you to kind of maintain a good strong back position. So coming in onto the ground on all fours, get your knees just below your hips and your hands just below your shoulder girdle. Now the first one I'm going to show you is the cat. Now the cat is actually sinking your stomach down, extending your spine in towards the ground. You're actually flexing your spine here and looking up towards the sky. You can see that you've actually rolled your hips forward, tipping at the bucket, and you're looking up into the air. Okay, and the second exercise is called the camel. It's the opposite. It's kind of creating an N shape. You're actually extending your spine, reaching your middle back up towards the sky, looking down, and you've actually tipped, without even realizing that you've actually tipped your pelvis back. Now I just want you to come from the camel into the cat. Back into the camel, into the cat. Now the very important movement that you want to look out for here is coming from the camel into the cat. Okay, so what you're actually doing is you're kind of sticking your stomach forward, and like you're getting a nice positive bend in your spine. Now you can imagine that if I was actually standing up and doing an exercise, is that this is actually a very nice strong back position. So you can actually do that standing up. I'll actually just adjust the camera there so you can see this. Okay, hopefully you can see me now. So, hips come back. So, coming from your cat into the bad position of your camel. So you can imagine me with the weight here doing a bent over row, slugging away, absolutely destroying myself. So coming from your camel position, the same movement again. Now don't really think about your hips, because a lot of people don't really know what I mean by moving their hips. Just come extending your stomach forward, arching your spine, and then there you are. There, you've achieved that lovely lower back position. So practice that. A standing cat into a camel, back into your perfect cat. And you can see that really get an emphasis there on like tipping your pelvis forward, pouring out that bucket of water. Okay, so follow that, do a bit of practice, and then apply it into some of the exercises here at the underground, and it really will work towards developing very strong posture and great strength in the spine.